This is CBC Here and Now.
The province has really stepped up to ensure that people feel welcome here and know that they're very much wanted here.
We're just days away from a plane load of Ukrainians arriving in Newfoundland and Labrador.
How this province is preparing and what you can do to help.
We've been seeing some pockets of spring-like weather. It does look like we've got some rain on the way for tomorrow.
I wasn't registered in female hockey, so I wasn't allowed to try out.
Females have to go through all these hoops, exemptions, just to try out for a team.
She's good enough to play with the boys.
But this parent says Hockey NL is holding her daughter back from playing at the provincial level.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan.
And I'm Anthony Germain. We start tonight with details on the province's plans to welcome Ukrainian refugees. As we told you last night, next week, Newfoundland and Labrador will become home to potentially dozens of Ukrainians. But before that happens, plans are being made to ensure that they're supported when they arrive here. The Association for New Canadians is working hard at that now to make that happen. Here Now's Meg Roberts joins us live from the newsroom. So Meg, what can you tell us about this arrival?
Well, a plane chartered by the Newfoundland and Labrador government is scheduled to arrive Monday. The plane can carry about 175 people, but we don't know how many of those seats will be filled just yet. The paperwork could be processed right up until the last minute. Now, that being said, the Association for New Canadians says they will be prepared no matter what.
When people arrive, we make sure that all their basic needs are taken care of. We'll have food ready for them to receive when they get to their hotel. We'll have everything. We'll have things for the kids. We'll just have all of that to make sure they're comfortable and safe and secure when they arrive in the province.
Now, getting a number of refugees situated is nothing new for the ANC. They're using a similar settlement model as they did with the Afghan refugees. The organization says some Ukrainians will be put up in hotels, while others already have accommodations mapped out with family, friends, or an employer. Now, with the rental market the way it is, low vacancy and high rents, the executive director said it's been a slower process securing housing, but she says her team is really good at finding accommodations. Now, in terms of donations, she said they had to close their donation site and they're on the hunt for a new one.
We're looking for a site right now that it's almost a warehouse site that we need. So we're looking for a space right now. We've talked to some partners, but if anybody has a space that they can lend us for a period of time, we'd be most grateful.
Another way you can support the ANC right now is by donating to their refugee fund. The organization says there was a number of Afghan children that arrived, and they expect it to be the same with the Ukrainian refugees. That means their summer programming for children is going to be much larger this year, which means a higher cost.
Okay, things are going to get busy. So Meg, what have you been hearing in terms of employment, some jobs for these people when they get here?
Well, Task Force NL is taking on a new task. You might remember them as the organization that helped source PPE during the earlier days of the pandemic. They're now trying to match employers here with people fleeing Ukraine. They held a forum for employers interested in hiring Ukrainians today to answer any questions workplaces might have. Also, Mary Brown's has announced it will be hiring a number of Ukrainians moving to the province. Prior to coming to Canada, candidates will be interviewed for a position. If they qualify, Mary Brown's will pay for a free flight from Poland and will give them $3,000. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Meg Roberts for Here and Now.
Well, some other special visitors to the province, and these ones drew a crowd at the Gander airport. A couple of A-10 fighter jets landed in town yesterday, and a big crowd turned up to see them off this morning.
Yes, this is a very interesting day at daycare. Not normally a typical daycare for us.
Yeah.
Watching planes take off. I said, well, this would be, normally we'd probably go to the playground or something, but we decided to come up here today and get the kids to check it all out. I'm sure it's not something they see every day. And I was probably more excited than they were. But yeah, we figured it'd be a great little field trip for today, for this morning.
The blue one's up in the clouds.
Yeah.
It will go up and it will move.
Yeah. Where do you think it's going?
Yeah.
It's going to the sky.
Especially now the last couple of years, there hasn't been a lot of traffic going. You know, you get occasional with WestJet and everything, Air Canada come back now. We don't get many, military aircraft coming through, or many aircraft at all, really. Yeah, the last couple of weeks, it's been a lot of, not only military even, because there's a couple of, like 747s and C-17s and everything else going, right? So it's good to see, though. It's good to see the airport getting busy again.
Well, aside from in the sky, airport authorities are tight-lipped about where those fighter jets are coming or going. But we did get this statement. Armed conflict has caused traffic spikes at Gander dating back to World War II. Everyone at the airport values our relationship with those nations fighting on the right side of freedom. Almost a century on, Gander Airport is still strategic for military operations, and if we can help allies close the mission in a small way, we will.
Well, taking a look at what's happening out there, we do have a big ridge of high pressure in place. It's starting to sink a little bit south, but we did see some cloud cover clear out this afternoon through parts of central, allowing those temperatures to climb up quite nicely this afternoon. But we do have a cold front sweeping through. There's all that cold air that you see in the blue, that milder air more in the green. But that is going to move through as we head through the night tonight and into tomorrow. It's going to bring some cooler temperatures along with it. But the pattern over the next couple of days will be cool as we see that cold air sink a little bit further south. So we're talking Saturday, Friday night into Saturday is when we'll see that potential for some flurries. But next week, that warm up is more than likely coming. More indications pointing at that. And what type of temperatures are we talking about? Well, this is the temperature outlook as we look ahead to Tuesday. Central areas getting into that yellow and orange. That means we could reach 20 degrees through parts of the province. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Vale is confirming a leak at the Voisey's Bay nickel mine in Labrador. It happened this morning in their glycol system, which is used to cool the power plant as well as heat the facility. The company says the leak has been contained and a team is working to clean it up. The company wouldn't confirm just how much glycol leaked. Vale says there was no risk to the employees. It says the compound seems to have been contained to the surface and didn't get into any bodies of water. Work was suspended but has since resumed.
Turning now to the latest on COVID-19 in the province. 3 more people have died because of COVID-19 in Newfoundland and Labrador since Monday's update. All 3 deaths are in the Eastern Health Region. There are now 14 people in hospital due to the virus. That's down 10 from Monday. 5 of those people, though, are in critical care. Well, a little more light has been shed on the cost of last fall's cyber attack on the province's healthcare system. Government officials have been tight-lipped about most aspects of the cyber attack, which threw the healthcare system into chaos in late October. The province won't say who was responsible, whether it was a ransomware attack or whether any ransom was paid or if systems failed. Officials have cited security concerns to justify the silence. Today, the health minister offered some details about some of the costs of the attack, totaling almost $16 million.
That was money that we asked for under the contingency fund and was referenced during our estimates discussions. Of that 16, just over 5 was for provincial credit monitoring, and the balance, the bulk of it, was staff overtime, and then there was a small amount for consulting and legal fees, and that tots up to the 16 million we took out of contingency. There was an awful lot of people working some awfully long hours. My understanding from the centre and from Eastern Health is that there were basically IT guys in the building 24/7 for 2 weeks.
The provincial government says some of its online services still aren't working today. That involves the services on the MyGov NL site, which broke down yesterday. Things such as driver's license renewal, vehicle renewal, getting a learner's permit test, or a domestic woodcutting permit. Digital Government and Service NL isn't saying what the problem is, but it is working to fix it.
Former Privacy Commissioner Donovan Malloy has taken an indefinite leave from his post. Malloy is now serving as a judge in the Northwest Territories and is facing misconduct allegations. The complaint comes from a lawyer who says for years Malloy has showed, quote, intimidating, insulting, and belittling behavior, end of quote, often towards lawyers and defendants in the courtroom. On Friday, Malloy announced a leave of absence, saying he is the victim of workplace harassment. Malloy then described himself as an outsider who is increasingly concerned about the administration of justice in the territories.
Newfoundland and Labrador's health minister offers his personal opinion about a debate that's raging in the United States. A draft decision to overturn the court case that makes abortions available to women in the States was leaked earlier this week. It's reignited a smoldering debate and launched protests south of the Canadian border. Today, Health Minister John Haggie made it clear where he stands on this issue.
Well, I mean, it's by tradition, usually you don't find that one elected government will make critical comments about another. My personal view is my own personal view. Abortion rights, fertility, and reproductive health, they are fundamental rights for the women of Canada and Newfoundland and Labrador, and I don't think they should be any different in any other country. I don't actually live and work in any other country, so that's my view from the East Coast.
Well, to Labrador West now, a local ministerial association is voicing concerns about the availability of health care for older people. Its members say the government isn't doing enough for seniors to make sure they have access to local health care.
People are concerned as well about situations similar to Cheryl Hardy, where persons are so anxious about taking their loved one to the hospital for fear that they may be sent away. So they try to do whatever home care they can, which again pose a danger to themselves and to their loved ones. So we are really thankful that Angela has really taken on this task to call for greater attention to this. A physical infrastructure may take time, but it's going to take an extended time if there is no planning and no intentionality. So what we're saying is not reflective of the care that is extended at the health center that we have, right? We receive good care from the nurses and the doctors who are there, but it is limited. So that is a concern as well. And of course, the church family helps in her care, right? We are there, we visit, we pray with her, we talk with her, engage her in conversation, and that is helpful. So too does the family. And we have to think about Oscar, her husband, who is older as well, and will have difficulty getting access to his wife if she is not near him. For me, I believe, on behalf of the ministerial, this is a serious concern, not just for Cheryl, but for the members of the community.
Well, to some other news now. The Newfoundland Growlers are headed to the second round of the ECHL playoffs.
Yeah, the Growlers beat the Trois-Rivières Lions, or I guess Lyon, 5-2 at Mary Brown Centre in St. John's last night, giving the Growlers the series win in Game 7. There we go. That's them playing. So they take that, went the distance to Game 7, so now they will face the Reading Royals in round 2.
That series will begin with Game 1 on the road on Saturday night. The team's head coach says this first round was well fought.
It's a nice relief. I think the boys deserve that win. They deserve this series, but I think it's fair that it went to 7. The biggest backbone, our goalie. He was fantastic. He stepped up his game, gave us a chance, and he made some big saves at key moments where, you know, the game could have changed, and we might not be sitting here talking that the series is one in our favor. Just a relief to get them out of here, because they were such a good team and they put up such a good fight.
If you have a species that is used to live in close to 0 degrees Celsius water, like snow crab or shrimp, their habitat will shrink.
New research suggests the ocean is getting warmer. A DFO research scientist says just a couple of degrees can make a big difference. Our conversation ahead, and also we're going to talk about the potential for some snow in parts of the forecast. I'll have those details coming up.
Weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Early bird deadline is midnight, Friday, May 6th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
The people who keep an eye on water temperatures that surround us have new information to work with, and it appears to indicate that the ocean is warming up. I've contacted a research scientist at the Department of Fisheries and Oceans to break it down for us. Frederick Sear studies ocean climate and fisheries. Thank you for joining us. But first, let's talk about the latest data that you have, and what is it that you looked at and over what period of time?
The ocean around, Newfoundland and Labrador has been systematically observed since the late 40s, roughly, by Canada and other countries. In 1998, in the wake of the collapse of the groundfish fisheries, DFO created what we call the Atlantic Zone Monitoring Program in order to standardize these observations and, among other things, relate the variation of climate to fluctuation of marine resources. So to answer your questions, this is part of my daily job, so I look at data mostly from 1998, but that go as far in time as the late 40s. So more than 70 years of data.
So what are you seeing for 2021 when it comes to ocean temperatures?
In order to integrate the different aspects of the ocean and the climate, so we designed last year a new metric that is called a climate index that basically it's kind of a one-size-fits-all when we talk about the climate in order to relate the environment to the different fisheries. So this index based on different parameters, there's sea ice in it, but also ocean temperature at surface, at the bottom, in the middle, etc. Revealed that 2021 was actually one of the warmest year on record for this specific index when we put everything together. And it's actually it was tied with 2010 and 1966 as the warmest.
Do we have any explanation as why it's getting warmer or why we're seeing these warming trends?
In the winter, with atmospheric cooling, large volume of cold water are created, and these last for the rest of the year. So the reason why 2021 was relatively warm is because the winter 2021 was relatively warm. And of course, this is something that is expected with climate change. 1 year is not enough to blame climate change, but what we can expect is that the frequency of these outliers and the warm years will increase. So yes, get ready for new warm years like that.
And when we see these warm ocean temperatures, what kind of impacts do we see with that?
It could be anything. It's if you think of a fish living at the bottom of the ocean, the habitat of that fish can change by a few degrees Celsius. So if you have a species that is used to live in a close to 0 degrees Celsius water, like snow crab or shrimp, and these bottom conditions start to increase to 3, 4, 5 degrees Celsius, then of course their habitat will shrink, and it is possible that other species will take over.
So I know that it's early in the year. We already saw a lot more sea ice than we did last year, that's for sure. But can you give any indication of how 2022 is looking?
It's kind of hard to say because, as I said, the winter sets the stage, but we have kind of different conditions between the east and the west. One thing, though, is that there is some kind of cumulative effect from 1 year to the next. 2021, we entered the winter with the ocean temperature already warmer than usual. So I doubt that 2022 will be on the cold side because of that, because one winter is not enough to cool the leftover of heat from the previous winter, from the previous year. So yeah, at best I would expect 2022 to be maybe in the normal range, if not on the warm side.
So I know you talked about fisheries and how the warmer weather or the warmer ocean water affects that. But as far as weather and climate, have you guys done any research on that and what the indications are going forward?
It's something you probably know more than me about it. But one thing that we know is it all starts with the atmospheric patterns. The sea level pressure on top of the ocean would move, for example, the polar vortex a bit south on top of the Labrador Sea, and this would generate the big volume of cold water I referred before. So of course, how climate change will influence these weather, the atmospheric pressure patterns, and how it will affect the jet stream in the atmosphere is really a key to understand how the ocean will react. But this I leave it to people working in the atmosphere.
Fair enough. It is all related, though. Thank you so much, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. It was very nice.
Interesting topic there. And it's amazing all the ripple effects from, climate change just affects so many different things all through down, the ocean temperatures down to the individual species, and it's all really connected.
Yeah, and the point he made about, it's not just 1 year that we can attribute to climate change. It's over a period of years, and we'll see those trends moving forward. So definitely a conversation we will continue to keep having.
So that's looking at the long term. Let's look at the short term. What's the weather going to be like over the next couple days?
Yeah, well, we have some nice warm air in place at the moment. Let's take a look at those highs today. In fact, Happy Valley Goose Bay, 15 degrees today. That well overachieved, as it often does when we see a bit more sunshine, especially across the big land. In these types of setups, we tend to see these temperatures jump. I mean, even Cartwright, 12 degrees today. So that is definitely where all that warm air. Now, yesterday it was Labrador City and Churchill Falls, but that is a very different story today. 5 and 6 degrees is where you sat, and then we do have those temperatures again through Central. Lots of sunshine this afternoon for parts of the day, and that allowed those temperatures to climb up as well. So 11 degrees in Gander, 13 in Badger, and a similar temperature as you head towards Corner Brook, although we still do have those cooler single-digit temperatures across the northeast coast, or along the northeast coast, I should say. And again, the reason for that is just this area of high pressure. We do have this cold front moving through, though, and that's going to bring some showers. All this activity will move towards the island as well as parts of Labrador, and in behind that cold front, we're going to see those temperatures drop tonight. But there's a look at that lack of cloud cover this afternoon. We do have some of that higher cloud moving in now ahead of the front, and that will continue to do that as we head through the night tonight. Temperatures still sitting pretty beautifully. A nice evening, 13 degrees in Badger right now. 5 is what it's sitting at in St. John's, and then temperatures across Labrador still starting to cool down, though, for Lab City. Your temperature is dramatically going to drop as we head through the night tonight as that cold front moves through. But Nain, you are the coldest at the moment. You're already into some of that cold air, currently hovering around -1. So as we head through the night tonight, your temperatures will hover in and around there, likely flirting with the 0 degree mark for most of the night, but dipping down to -8 for Lab City. So the showers that you're seeing will move towards central and coastal areas of Labrador, but in behind that, we're going to see that transition through to snow as that cold front moves through. Now, out ahead of that, temperatures still relatively warm across the island overnight tonight, relatively speaking, above 0 anyway. So what does fall tonight should fall as showers for the west coast northern areas of the island. Otherwise, we'll just see those clouds either on the increase or continue to stay cloudy through the night tonight. The winds will be out of the south or southwest, somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Now, as far as what's going to happen, we'll see that line of showers roll through tonight. There it is there. After midnight is when we should start to see that shower activity across the western portion of the island, and then into tomorrow afternoon. Eventually, those showers will work their way further east, and say by noon, just after noon, is when we should see those showers reach the Avalon, or at least parts of the Avalon, and continue through a good chunk of the afternoon. Now, as that cold front sweeps through, and behind it allowing some of that colder air to move in, and that means we're looking at the chance of some flurries. Most of the accumulation, it shouldn't accumulate too much really. Most of the accumulation should be for northern areas of Labrador, but then we start talking about that potential for flurries for the northern peninsula as well as parts of the west coast and even the northeast coast as we get into Friday morning. So as far as rainfall amounts go, we're not talking about a whole lot, maybe a trace to 5 millimeters, and then that snowfall, like I said, will be mainly northern areas. The bulk of it will be even north of Nain, but Nain you could pick up somewhere between 2, maybe 5 centimeters of snow through the overnight, and then some flurries will continue through the day tomorrow. So temperatures will be hovering pretty similar to what we're seeing today. The winds, we haven't really seen a whole lot of winds, which is kind of nice. They'll still be out of the southwest, though, around 20 kilometers per hour. But we're looking at highs between 5 to 8 degrees. Generally cloudy, but we should reach could reach the double digits, I should say, through parts of central as well. Of Grand Falls, Windsor, in and around 11 degrees. Same thing for the Green Bay, White Bay area. Bayvert, you're looking at about 10 degrees through tomorrow. Now, good chance we'll see some sun peek out across the west coast as well as the afternoon rolls through, but you're still looking at that chance of showers with those winds out of the southwest between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And again, temperatures in the single digits. And then for Labrador, much colder tomorrow in Cartwright, about 4 degrees through the day, some showers or flurries possible, but also looking at some sunshine in the forecast as well. The most of the gray skies will be for central, northern and western areas of the Big Land as you hover around the 0 degree mark for Lab City. But there is another warm up in the way. You're going back to the double digits. I'll have that forecast coming up.
This 13-year-old hockey player wants a shot at an all-girls provincial team, but Hockey NL says no. Why? Because she plays on a boys' team, and yet she's a girl who wants to play on a girls' team. That story coming up. Welcome back to Here and Now. I'm in Paradise, and I want to introduce you to a 13-year-old Ella Mead. Ella, you play hockey in a boys' league. Tell me about the sport.
So last season I played on the U13 AA Don Johnson team, and I was left wing on that team.
Okay, so you're a forward.
Yeah.
So what do you like about hockey?
I like the roughness and like just playing hockey and skating hard and stick handling, all that, scoring goals.
So you're a pretty serious hockey player, right? Like you're at a certain level. So why do you play with the boys?
I guess I just like the intensity of the boys, and I just like the fastness of it, and I just rather play with the boys.
Okay. Now, there is a girls' team that you would like to play for, right?
Yeah.
So this is like a provincial girls' team?
Yeah.
So like 16 and under is usually 13 to 15, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You can't try out for that team because why?
Because I'm not registered in female hockey.
So?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, well, I want to bring your mom into this discussion. I'll just get you to move over here, and I'm going to bring you, Wendy Mead in. So Wendy, Ella's pointed out that she wants to play with this provincial team. What's going on?
So pretty much, if you don't play female, register female all year, you have to apply for an exemption to get into this camp. So Ella chose to play with Boys League, and because of that, she's being denied this exemption.
So Hockey and Ella's saying that, I mean, Ella's a girl.
Yes.
So why can't she try out for the girls' team?
It's a rule that Hockey NL enforces, and I guess they're not changing the rule.
Okay, what do you make of that as a parent of a young girl who wants to play hockey?
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing because you have some female players that have big dreams, so they're being denied the opportunity, and it's only in Newfoundland that this is happening, apparently.
And I'm assuming Ella plays on a boys' team because of the level of hockey that she plays, right?
Yes, she's always registered. When she started at the age of 5, she's always played on a male-dominated team. So we just encourage her. She enjoys the challenge, and we just encourage her to strive to be her best.
So if you had registered her in a girls' team, you could pay for both, right? You could have her on the boys' league and then the girls' league, and then she would be eligible for this tryout?
Correct, yeah. So she would have to play 2 teams, and we always encourage our kids when they make a team to give 100% commitment. So with scheduling and stuff, it's just hard on parents to be registered on 2 hockey teams, practices. It's just a lot.
All right. So let me come back to Ella, because obviously Ella is the person who's most affected by this. How did you react when you found out that you weren't allowed to even have a tryout for this all-girls team?
I was frustrated, and I was kind of surprised, and it was just like sad, and they were just holding me back, kind of.
Right. How much do you want to play on this provincial girls team?
Pretty bad.
Yeah. Right. And this is also important to say that Hockey NL is trying, or Hockey NL says that it's trying to actually encourage more girls to play hockey.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this, what kind of message does this send?
Well, they're basically saying like you need to play female hockey, but they're not letting girls who play male hockey have the opportunity to try out for teams. So it's just not fair.
Yeah. And I guess the other issue is that they're saying you would have to belong to 2 leagues, the boys' league and the girls' league, and there is no boy being told he has to belong to both.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does seem kind of odd that way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll give you the last word, Wendy. What kind of message would you like to send to Hockey NL about this matter?
I think this rule needs to change. I mean, Ella's not the only girl affected by this. I'm sure there's others out there, and you're trying to promote female hockey, but at the same time, females have to go through all these hoops, exemptions, just to try out for a team, and it's not the same all across, and it's just not fair.
Right, and you're not like the hockey mom saying my daughter has to be on this team, right?
No,
you just want her to have a shot.
We just want a fair opportunity to try out like any other female in her age.
You think you'd make the team?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a feeling you would too. Listen, I appreciate your time. Good luck. I hope that something changes in this regard, but we'll stay on top of this. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Now we did reach out to Hockey NL because we wanted to get their side of the story. We wanted an interview actually to ask: is this basically sexual discrimination against Ella and other girls? They did not want to do an interview, but they did send us this statement. Well, Hockey NL says it's committed to inclusive and equitable programming and that female hockey participation in the province is one of the highest in the country. Hockey NL says it brought in a policy in 2021 that requires athletes to be registered during the previous season on a club team in their respective division. And it says players can apply for an exemption based on their skill level and other factors. Hockey NL says it reviews its policies annually and that it's committed to reviewing this policy as well as the impact it may have on its membership. The soggy Minot, there is no better place to spend May the 4th than this place. I'll take you on a tour with the man who designed it. That's coming up.
The controversy around an upcoming U.S. Supreme Court decision on abortion deepened today. A leaked draft document outlined reasons to strike down the ruling that guaranteed the legal right to abortion. And for a second day, the U.S. president spoke out.
What happens if you have a state changes the law saying that children who are LGBTQ can't be in classrooms with other children? Is that legit under the way the decision is written? What are the next things that are going to be attacked?
Protesters outside the Supreme Court denounced the draft document. The court is stressing no final decision has been made. Pro-choice activists say if the 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling is overturned, anti-abortion laws would soon take effect in 13 states, and that as many as 13 other states could follow suit. Court proceedings resumed today in the trial of Canadian recording artist Jacob Hoggart. Allegations dating back several years have the frontman of the band Headley facing charges of sexual interference and sexual assault causing bodily harm. Hoggart entered court with his wife. Today was dedicated to jury selection. The current set of proceedings began on Monday. The original trial started earlier. As Ottawa pushes for a zero-emissions economy, there are warnings that Canada's electrical grid isn't up to the task. Just charging electric cars can be a challenge in some areas, and a new report prepared by Canadian Climate Institute says there needs to be significant improvement in generation capacity and distribution. CBC's David Thurton reports.
Kim Nelson loves her electric vehicle, but not how long it takes to juice up fully. 3 days on her slow charger if it's drained. Even if she wanted to upgrade to a faster charger, the power lines on her street don't support the electrical load.
So we have to be really vigilant about making sure we're always charging. And I think if the government wants to move everyone in the direction of electric vehicles, this is going to be a much bigger challenge for people that live in suburban communities or people that live in the north, because you get so much less of a charge in the winter or in cold weather.
For reasons such as these, a new report says Canada's electricity systems aren't ready to take on the expected surging demand. Significant investments are needed, one of the report's authors says, because otherwise
there could be challenges for reliability. That means certain outages, certain technical issues in our grids.
Canada needs to make what the report calls a big switch, connecting interprovincial and territorial grids so electricity can be shared, doubling or tripling capacity by generating more clean electricity, mostly solar and wind. But nuclear energy can't be forgotten because renewables aren't always reliable, atomic energy advocates say.
So nuclear provides that ultra-reliable electricity. It delivers over 90% of its capacity, and we can time it to deliver when demand is the greatest.
Whatever powers our low-carbon energy future, advocates and researchers agree. The federal government needs to step up with more money and new policies.
The federal government is going to be all in terms of the engagement with provinces and territories as we move forward. But let's remember that is an area of provincial jurisdiction.
Without that strong leadership to improve charging options, some electric vehicle enthusiasts fear their vehicles will remain in the minority. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, now to the war in Europe. Russia is mounting a renewed offensive in its campaign against Ukraine, and strikes are hitting more and more civilian targets. The Russians hit 6 power stations in central and western Ukraine overnight. The stations provide electricity for the country's rail system, which is being used to move military equipment and supplies to the eastern part of Ukraine. And in the east, Russia is intensifying its attacks on the steel mill in Mariupol, where soldiers and civilians have been sheltering. While about 100 people were evacuated from the plant earlier this week, it is believed that there are more than 100 civilians still trapped inside. Well, today's a very special day for Star Wars and sci-fi fans right around the world. It is May the 4th, a date that is a proxy for May the Force be with you. And in Conception Bay South, there's a lawyer who discovered his own creative forces when he started to build a Star Wars-esque man cave with Newfoundland flair. Just have a look.
The Soggy Minoc is where I spend my time these days. I called it the Soggy Minoc because everything in Star Wars is called, you know, the Millennium Falcon, the Ebon Hawk, but I wanted something that was a little more pedestrian. This is a dingy basement, so it shouldn't have a lofty name. It should be called something a little gross. So in the Star Wars universe, Minocs are almost like rats with wings. They're like pigeons that like suck onto the side of a spaceship like a suckerfish. So I called this place the Soggy Minoc because I thought it conveyed that idea of it being kind of a dingy, rundown bar. I wanted it to be, as soon as you walk in the room, as soon as you walk through that sliding door, this should be like no other room you've been in your entire life. I want it to be the experience like, you know, when you're in a lineup for a ride at Disney World, right? You're immersed in the world immediately. There were a couple of reasons why I decided to build this space this way. I mean, one was I lost my office when we had our second kid. We needed to use a second bedroom, so I had an office. I didn't have an office anymore, so I needed an office. But when I realized I was going to put it down in the basement, and then all of a sudden the government of Newfoundland and Labrador came out with this home renovation bonus, and I realized, you know, I could do this renovation job that I've been dreaming about for years. I could do it now, and I get the government to pay 10 grand. So that's exactly what I did. I wanted to be able to have a room so that, like, when people came over here, my friends come over to play poker and smoke cigars. Sometimes I even have clients over here for meetings. It's important, no matter what space bar you're in, that of course snacks are provided. So we provide snacks for all various species to make sure that they've got something edible. It might not taste good, but it's edible. We've got playing cards for everybody. You know, you need to come to a place like this to gamble, of course. And you can't gamble without money, so we accept Imperial credits as well as ingots of Beskar in this place. I've poured a lot of time into the space building things, but I've put even more time into this space sort of dreaming about it. You know, it's taken me a couple years with the help of some contractors to build the space, but I've been thinking about this for decades. This has been sort of an imagination work in progress for years and years and years. I said to somebody when they asked me, how'd you come up with all this? I said, because I've been living in this place my entire life. I had the logo designed by a local graphic designer, Mike Pinn, who did a fantastic job making this sort of bat algae sucker thing called a Minoc to go along with the logo. And everywhere around here I have the Imperial language, which is called Arabesh. So if you understood the language, you'd see the secret messages that I have painted all around here. This is a find that I'm really proud of. This is an old X-ray reading machine that I've liberated from the health sciences dumpster that was being thrown out, and I repurposed it, I repainted it, and I stuck a 3D picture frame or a digital picture frame behind here to scroll through photographs of Star Wars spaceships. Star Wars is a really interesting thing for people to get excited about, and I think it speaks to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians more than anyone. You know, Star Wars has this lived-in universe feel, right? There shouldn't be any different from sitting on board the Millennium Falcon and looking at all the knickknacks on the wall and sitting in Nan's kitchen and looking at the same thing, right? So there's kind of this real, unlike Star Trek or most other science fiction, that's sort of clean and sterile and sort of aloof and really hard to understand. Star Wars is really gritty and organic and feels like a place that you could walk into off the street. In my view, it's a much more sort of human science fiction that capitalizes on the fact that, look, whether we're in a spaceship or whether we're in a dory, people customize their spaces and they live in their spaces, and you're not going to have gleaming consoles, you're going to have dusty computer banks. And that's sort of the philosophy behind living in Star Wars.
Oh my goodness! I think Kyle's wasted the law. We've got enough lawyers. We don't have enough set design people. Kyle, it's amazing. And I should thank Daryl Murphy for helping shoot and edit that. We managed to get that done yesterday. And
how many drinks do you have there at the bar there, Anthony?
His imperial water was delicious, Peter. And his wife took to social media today asking if there's actually proof that he actually has a wife. So because it's a very understanding spouse to allow that kind of basement. But anyway, all a bit of fun.
I'm amazed at all the details everywhere you look, like little lights everywhere. Incredible. It really just, and partially funded by the tax credit, like creative use there of a government program.
He was quite transparent, which was great.
Ashley, speaking of the soggy Minot, I guess we should probably talk about the soggy weather that's coming, especially later on this week as we head into the weekend.
Yeah, so we do have the cooling temperatures, unfortunately, not really the kind of spring temperatures that we want to talk about, but yes, we do have some cool air moving in. Let's take a look at what's going to happen. So this is Thursday evening. There's that snow that I'm talking about. That is going to move further south as we head through the overnight and into Friday morning. You're starting to see that white and blue show up on the northern peninsula, some of the higher elevations through Friday morning. We'll really start to see those temperatures drop with this one, and it's going to continue to work its way towards central into the evening hours on Friday, and then even eventually the Avalon as we get into the overnight. So temperatures will dip into the anywhere from 1 to 8 degrees. The warmest will be for the Burin Peninsula. You'll see some sunshine, which will allow some of that the temperatures to rise, but overall it will be an unsettled day. So 4 or 5 degrees through the afternoon, and then as the temperatures drop, you'll see that change over to the potential for some flurries again, certainly in those higher elevations. Now up across Labrador, you're into that colder air, especially for the west and the north below zero. Lab City, though, looking at a mix of sun and cloud through the day, still going to hang on to that chance of flurries through Nain, and then same thing as you head towards the southeast through the day on Friday. Now Friday night into Saturday, that's when we'll see that potential for some flurries for the Avalon. It shouldn't accumulate too much, really. The temperatures have been warm, the ground is still warm, so whatever does fall will not last very long. And it's because the temperatures are actually going to warm up as we head through the day on Saturday. So once that moves through, it'll actually, it should clear out fairly quickly. We've got a ridge of high pressure that's going to move in and clear things out as that area of low pressure moves off. It'll pull the cloud cover and the showers and flurry activity right along with it. So temperatures on Saturday again still staying fairly cool. We're looking at 2 to 6 degrees across the board. Temperatures will start to warm up as that ridge of high pressure takes over for Labrador. So 5 degrees through the day on the plus side of the Mercury for Lab City, and 3 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay. As you head towards the southeast, those temperatures are still hovering around 1, maybe 2 degrees through the day on Saturday. But then looking at the long-range forecast, this is when we're going to start to see some of those warmer temperatures for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. By Sunday, we should see some sunshine. Really Saturday, we should see some sunshine through the day. But those conditions are going to continue to improve as we head into Sunday and Monday with those temperatures around 9 degrees. Probably a little bit warmer on Monday too. We're going to keep an eye on that forecast. But as far as central Newfoundland goes, this is when we start to talk about double digits, nearing the teens. 12 degrees on Monday with some sunshine. It is looking like a beautiful start to the week, and even midweek as well. Now for western Newfoundland, you're looking at that similar warm up, nearly double the temperature on Sunday for Monday with plenty of sunshine, but overnight lows still dipping into the minus single digits. And for eastern Labrador, you're looking at that warm up as well. Could see even higher than this through midweek, potentially reaching the high teens. And then for western Labrador, nice stretch of sunny weather right through Monday with temperatures climbing to 9 degrees by the time we get there. Now speaking of the big land, look at this real life Labrador flag. Isn't that cool? Helen's son,
nice.
yeah, Helen's son actually took this photo in Shoal Tickle. Thank you for sharing that with us. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
I'm impressed with that creativity.
I
Finding
love
that,
it too.
and it's the perfect little spruce. It's anyway. It just. I'm impressed.
I like the blue. That you know, if I have her permission, I think that's my new screensaver at least
There you go.
until the summer.
Send her an email.
Nice shot.
Yeah, well, it really captures Labrador on so many levels.
Definitely.
And that's it for us tonight. Have a good night, everyone.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.